Howdy train fans, welcome back to the Chattanooga Southern Railroad. So I've gotten a lot of comments as of late regarding what I use as a base for my layout, because a lot of you have commented you haven't seen cork roadbed here, and thought I'd do like a compilation video to show you exactly how I build up my base and why, and also to address a comment that I got about what I don't like about foam versus the Homosote. So let's go through that. So you'll see that I use a modified version of Lynn Westcott's L girder benchwork, and then I use 1/2 inch plywood as the sub base, and then I use Homosote as the base material. Homosote, if you look at this, for those of you that don't know, is a paper-based sound deadening product. It is used to put on walls to help with acoustics. It's a very old material. It's been around since, I think, the 60s or 70s. Model railroaders in the past have really liked it because it holds track spikes really well. So if back in the day, if you were the hand laying track type, it works really, really well. The modern day option is to use a thickness of foam. So this is a 2-inch piece, but over on that L&N line, I had used a 1/2 inch just to give it a try and see what I liked about it. And where I came down to is I prefer the Homosote. And the reason is that I like to use really fine track spikes. So if you look at here, this is what I use. Let me see if I can set these down here so you can see them. I use very fine track spikes. It's a little bit big to hold my track because I don't like these to be seen, and I definitely don't like the nails that go into these holes here, because you can see those nail heads, right? And that just bothers me. And just to kind of mimic that for you real quick, I know some of you are aware of this, but when you're looking down the track, you can see that nail head, and it just doesn't look right. Even when you ballast it, you almost have to cover that nail head up every so often, and then you got a pattern, and I just don't like that. That's fine if you've got hidden trackage in a tunnel or hidden staging, then more power to us, to lay the track quickly. It's not going to matter. But when it's out on the layout, and even with the ballasting, I can still see that. So I don't like that particular method. The other thing I don't like about the foam is that although it will take a spike rather easily, it doesn't have any holding power at all. I mean, I can put that in there and pull it out rather quickly. The Homosote, on the other hand, it's very hard. You need a pair of pliers to be able to drive that into the Homosote. That took a little bit of effort to do this, but it's got some significant holding power, okay? And the other thing I like about doing the spikes, in addition to that thing being hidden, because I can put it right there next to a tie like that, and it looks like a double spiked tie plate. It allows me to be able to remove the track and make adjustments rather quickly, okay? Whereas to really hold a piece of track down on this, I know a lot of you have been using adhesive, right? So construction adhesive, Gorilla Glue, some people even use silicone caulk. But, when you go to pull this back up again, it's nasty. And I did a sample piece, and I tried to glue this down to this with a Gorilla Glue. Man, I could not get that piece of track back up in one piece to reuse it. It basically becomes disposable. So that's another reason I chose not to use. I'm not going to use any more foam here. Couple things I also do too is some of you have noticed from my past videos that I use basswood instead of cork roadbed. I like the basswood. One, it tends to be cheaper than the cork roadbed. I also like the ability to be able to vary the height of the trackage depending on what the use of the trackage is. So like if I had on a bigger layout full mainline, I would use a 1/4 inch thick wood like this, cut into 1-inch strips like this, okay, and then be able to vary that down. Passing sidings would be 1/8 inch like this, and then I use different thicknesses like 1/16 and 1/32 to make the transitions up or down. It's also a really good method when you have dips in there, and hopefully you can see that, is that I can fill in the gaps to level the track and make that work. So that's another reason I like the basswood. And that allows me in places like this that I can build with the ballast a nice shoulder profile at the width that I like. And as you can see here, I've used the 1/8 inch for this main line, and the passing siding, because this on my layout, this is older mainline. This original mainline got rerouted to another location, okay? And so I'm trying to model older trackage when I do that. And so what I'll do is my main lines will be up on the highest, passing sidings will be one size down from that, and then you can see that I do some transitioning of different sizes down, all the way down, and my yard trackages and industrial sidings are all down on the Homosote directly. And just to show you, right, if I wanted to relocate this track really easily, all I have to do is rock this back and forth and it would pop out of those spikes. And if I needed to put it back down again, I just put it right back down and spike it again. It's done. If I glued that to this, those of you that have done it know what I'm talking about. You basically have a really good chance that you're going to destroy your track. Now, again, this is all my opinion, right? You guys may use the foam. It has its pros and cons. One of the things I do like about the foam is you can cut a ditch profile in that. And I started to do that over here. And you can see this on the L&N line, right? Ditches. And I really like that. It makes it really easy. The other thing I like about the Homosote is that it's a paper-based product. So it takes paint really, really well, especially latex water-based paint. It doesn't expand, a lot because of the compression in it. I mean, if you get it soaking wet, it will expand. Don't ask me how I know that. But the other thing is that in order to get paint on this, you literally have to scrub this surface, roughen it up with a wire brush, right, to get it to have any tooth for the paint. And even then, it doesn't necessarily hold well. I still haven't found anybody that has got a good method to do that. So that's another reason I'm going to stick with the foam for things like shells for mountains. I think it works fantastic for that, for the different thicknesses and whatnot. But for me, I don't like cork. It's can't spike to it, right? You still have to use the track nails or glue it. And to me, this method works the best using the basswood. And what I will do with the basswood is I will buy this in the 4-inch wide sheets like this, and then cut it with a bandsaw to the 1-inch strips, or a smidge under a 1-inch strip. And that works really, really well underneath this. And the basswood is just like the Homosote in that it takes the spikes quite well. Okay, now for those of you that have a really keen eye, you will see on my layout currently that I do have nails in my turnouts, and that's mainly because I install the turnouts first and then the track pieces in between. When the time comes to go to ballast this, I will literally spike this, okay, with these spikes, okay, on either side of where I put that nail, and then pull that nail back out so that you won't see it, because I can't stand that. The other thing that I do, because I'm using Atlas Turnouts, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but if you look down that turnout, you'll see that there's actually a kind of a kink. You can see it really well on this right hand straight rail, right? I use the spikes, and you can see one right here, to drive that kink out of it and get it nice and straight. Now, in industrial sidings, like back over here, right, where I'm modeling quote-unquote older trackage, I won't drive that spike over. But out on the main line, like out here, every one of these, you can see a spike there, you see a spike there. Actually, it's actually come out. Need to fix that. The Ys don't have that problem. It only seems to be the number 4s that have that issue. So anyway, just wanted to give you guys that little bit of background. I'm sure I'll get more questions. Please keep them coming. I will be glad to ask or answer those. Anything you have to ask. But yeah, I've convinced myself that the Homosote is, for me, the better way to go in building my layout. And just so you know, the Homosote you can buy at Lowe's and Home Depot for a 4x8 sheet, it runs about 40 bucks for that, versus a ½ inch of this foam. It runs about, I think it was like 20 bucks, so it's about half the price. But the what I get out of it is worth that little bit of extra money. And the nice thing about it is, unless you're doing like a yard where you've got to lay a flat sheet down, you can cut this with a jigsaw or a bandsaw to make it the width of the track. So if you're doing curves and mountains and whatnot, yeah, it's the best thing to do. So anyway, that's how I do it. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Love getting those. And we'll see you on down the tracks. Thanks. Bye.